Oh, look, it's Dot. I
Oh,
remember
that was our Dalmatian.
Yeah, when we first got married.
Wasn't she such a sweet dog? I used to love her
She was
so much.
sweet.
Oh, and that mom and dad.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that picture in a long time.
Yes.
Speaking of pictures, Miss Brenda, we got the kids with us here.
Oh, hey,
Hey
y'all.
guys, how's it going today?
We were just looking at our pictures
Yeah,
from
we
our
were-
old days.
Yeah, all the way back then.
Look, you'll like this one. Mr. Don used to be a farmer.
Used to be a cotton farmer.
That
Look
was
at that
the-
cotton picker. Isn't
Yeah.
that amazing? And all the cotton and things. Oh my goodness. Oh, look, Miss Brenda, there's a picture of our home. Our
Yeah.
first home we got to build.
We built our house in the middle of a cotton field, and so there were no trees or anything.
Yeah,
at this
no
time.
for blow plants
See, look.
around it or anything at that time. We didn't have any landscaping at that point. Isn't that amazing? Wow, that is such a beautiful home, Miss
Yeah,
Brenda.
you know, when we built that house, we weren't going to ever move.
No.
Never.
Oh, and you know what that reminds me, guys? I just wanted to say this about our house. You know what the Lord showed Miss Brenda when we got ready to build that house? That in 5 years, we would have it paid off. 5 years. I thought, that's ridiculous. Everybody finances a house for 30 years or 15 years. But you know what? I always laughed about it because I thought, that ain't going to happen. But you know what happened? Guess how many years it took us to pay it off? That's right. 5 years God had it paid off.
Yeah.
Man, talk about hearing God's voice. She really heard God's voice on that one.
Yeah, well, we were never going to move.
That's right.
Remember?
We plan on
We
living there
lived-
for the rest of our lives.
We lived in a place called Fort Necessity, Louisiana.
Right.
And most people don't even know where that is. They've never even heard of it.
Yeah, well, it's not too far from here. You could drive to Louisiana in about 3 hours, maybe to about our house in about 6 or 7 hours where we used to live from here. But you know, Miss Brenda, that kind of reminds me of a story about our lives. You know, guys, so many times we get our life started and we think we know the plans that God has us forever, and we think we're going to be somewhere forever. And Miss Brenda, I thought we were going to live there forever.
Look.
Oh, isn't that cute?
There we are.
Well,
All
that's just
of
being the
us.
girls, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
not me
Oh
too.
well, Miss Brenda wasn't in there. I looked a lot younger back then, didn't it? Well, Miss Brenda, let me tell the kids a little bit about what happened. You know
Yeah.
what? We lived there. My dad owned a store at Fort Necessity. We knew everybody there. We were so
Yeah.
comfortable and so it just was home to us, and we thought we would be there forever. But you know what began to happen? You know what? We had a real bad car accident, and we lost our daughter. And then my dad passed away about 2 years after that. And then guess what? Within 6 months, Mom passed away. And you know what? We began to notice something that God began to speak to my heart, and I began to notice that we were kind of not feeling like we were part of the community as much. You notice how that we kept feeling like we
Yeah.
were pulling
It was-
away from
it
the
was pretty
school, and
strange.
nothing just seemed to right. And then one night, let me tell the kids what happened. One night I was sitting in my bedroom, the wind was blowing out of the south, and I was leaning back in my chair, and all of a sudden, boom, it was just like God spoke to me, and an audible voice said, your whole life's about to change. And I mean, I started up, and I got up, and I was going, oh my goodness, what in the world? Well, you know what happened? That was the start of when God began to lead us to come down here.
Yeah, it was step by step. We
That's
didn't know
right.
we were moving. Let's see, the first thing that happened after that was we figured out that we're going to be moving,
That's right.
which we had never ever planned on
We'd
doing.
never moved before other than right there in that community. And guys, let me tell you something. When God leads you to something, there's an excitement in your heart about it. But you know, at the same time, it can be a little scary, Miss Brenda, because it was so different. It was so different than what we thought. Well, guys, God began to open up doors and just make things ahead. But you know what, Miss Brenda, when we got ready to move to Gulf Shores, guess how many people we knew down here? Zero. We didn't know anybody. And I was going, oh no, what are we going to do? How are we going to start meeting people? Because see, there came a place in our life that we had to just, you know what, God, we're going to do this, and we're going down there because you told us to go, and we felt the need to go. We wanted to go.
We couldn't go until you got a job.
That's right.
We had to have that.
Let me tell you what's funny. We went down on a scout trip, and when we got down there, would you believe the very first weekend we got down there, I had a job interview to happen, and I had to turn around, go home, and turn and drive all the way back down there.
Yeah.
The very next day almost, to go find a job. That's how quick God opened up the door for us to get here.
Yep, and actually that was on a Monday, a Monday that you came back, and that Friday you and our oldest daughter moved.
We moved right back down there.
And I stayed so that I could fix it.
And you know, Miss Brenda, sometimes we just have to walk by faith and not by what we see or
I
what we
know.
think.
Wasn't
Isn't
that
hard?
crazy?
Oh, I know,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
if we had looked at it, here it was our home, and we've never, ever, ever moved. We knew everybody. Everybody knew us. Why would we ever want to move?
That's right. We were set forever right there, and everything was happening. But let me say something, Miss Brenda. When God has a plan for you, you need to listen. Oh, you know, that reminds me of a quick story. How many of you remember hearing about Noah?
No.
God, in the middle of a place where it had not even rained, came to Noah and told him to build a boat. A boat, Miss Brenda. Can you imagine? Can you imagine today having a boat built out in my front yard here? It's so dry outside right now.
Did they even know what boats were?
I don't even know if they, well, maybe they did, but I don't know what they knew back then. But you know what? It hadn't even rained. And here's the big story. Can you imagine building a little tiny boat would take a long time? But he had to build a boat big enough to hold all the pairs of the animals that would come, that God would send her. And not only that, but Miss Brenda, guess how long it took him to build this boat?
Oh, let's see. Wait, I know. I think it took him 5 years.
Oh, maybe a little bit more than that.
Okay.
Take another step. How many kids do you? How many do
Think
you
it
know
was
out
more
there?
than 5?
Oh, it was way more. Kids, how many years do you think it took for him to build that boat?
Okay, we'll just go like what y'all, 20 years.
No, not 20 years, not 30 years. I feel like a
Is it
commercial.
more?
Not incredible. 1995. No, can you remember? It feels like that maybe, you think, well, okay, it took him 5 or 10 years. That would sound normal, right?
I'm 60 something, so 60 years.
No, let me tell you, kids, we're time's running out here, but let me tell you about this story. It took Noah 120 years to build this boat.
120 years?
And it was huge. They didn't even have the tools to do it with. I mean, I imagine Noah had to build, how do you cut a board? Or how do you cut a tree down? Or how do you get these big old trees up in the air when you don't have a big old crane, electric crane, hydraulic driven crane to lift this stuff up? And, oh, this is a good one. Can you imagine his friends must have thought he was crazy?
I can imagine them saying, hey, Noah, how's the boat coming?
Well, you know probably told him, one board at a time. So anyway, can you imagine, talking about somebody being bored.
I bet you he was the first one that said, slow but steady.
Slow but steady. Guys, can you imagine the teasing and the junk that he must have had to go through to build a boat and telling everybody, guess what, there's a great flood coming. Flood? What is that? Well, they didn't know what rain was because they hadn't had any either. So I just can't imagine what he must have gone through. Well, guys, let me tell you something today. If God has a plan for you, there may come a time in your life that you have to walk by faith and not by sight. If Noah had walked by sight, Miss Brenda, he would have probably given up and quit, wouldn't he?
Well, what does it feel like whenever you're having to do something by faith?
Well, you know what? Sometimes it may feel you have this desire, this drive in you to do something, but it may not make sense. You may think, whoa, what am I doing? You may get teased for it. You may get ridiculed for it. But you know what? You know deep in your heart that it's the right thing to do. And you know what? And it was successful. Let me tell you one quick thing before we have to go here. There was a young lady that was the same age as our kids, same age as you guys, that God put it on her heart to get blankets or to gather blankets to give to people who were poor and needed help. And you know what happened, Miss Brenda? God took that vision, and parents, I want you to hear this, because when God puts a vision in your child's heart and he gives you the opportunity to help them, you need to help them carry it out. Because let me tell you what happened.
What happened?
Let me tell you what happened in finishing. That child today has an organization with these blankets that is now carrying blankets all over the world. Can you imagine a vision of I don't remember how old she was, 8, 10, something, whatever. And now God has used her vision to carry blankets all over the world. Can you imagine what God can do with you? If he can do it for that little girl, he can do it for you. Guys, there's going to be times in our life, in closing, that we're going to have to walk by faith and not by what we see. Amen?
Wow.
Amen. Well, guys, I'm sorry our time is up. We've enjoyed reminiscing about these pictures. We hope that you'll watch this video and pass it on to your friends. And we love you. And you know what? Hope to see you soon. Maybe we'll meet at church before too long. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.